continue yesterday?
Continued yesterday.
Did you read that story I sent you?
Not yet.
No,
I'm
it's a Geschmack story.
going to check it out. Thank you very much. So yesterday we began analyzing the words of the Medrash, how Hashem considers the offering of each leader of each tribe to be considered as if all the leaders were up to Oisva. Hashem considers all the gifts as if they were brought on day one. No. And Hashem considers all the gifts as if they were given on day 12. So we explained yesterday that there's an advantage of day one, there's an advantage of day 12. In day one, there's potential for there's the initial offering which inaugurates the tabernacle, inaugurates the altar for the first time, and with the potential of bringing all of the other gifts. On the other hand, you don't have Klal Yisrael, you don't have Jewish people as a whole until the last gift is given, last offering is given on day 12. So therefore, there's a advantage in both, and so Hashem says that each Naso brought, it has their gift is considered to be a communal offering, and that's why the halacha is that the offerings of the leaders of the tribes push off Shabbos. On Shabbos, the leader of Ephraim brought his sacrifice, and the reason why he pushes off Shabbos is because his offering is considered a communal offering. A personal offering does not push off Shabbos, but the offering of the leaders of the tribes was each offering which each leader brought for their tribe was really not just for their tribe, it was also part of bringing for all the Jewish people. The question we had is that we find two opposite things in their offering. On the one hand, we find the idea of Klal Yisrael, that they're all offering together, it's all considered like day one, it's all considered like it's day 12, it's all communal effort. On the other hand, we find that each leader owned their sacrifice. Each leader had a different intent when he brought the sacrifice. So we find that there's two opposite things being emphasized here. We need to understand. Another thing we need to understand is the reason they brought their sacrifices, or reason they brought, before they brought the sacrifices rather, each leader brought one bull, and two leaders joined together to offer a wagon. So we have a total of 6 wagons and 12 bull to carry the tabernacle. So the question is, number one, question number one, their offering has nothing to do with the service inside the tabernacle. It's about carrying the tabernacle. So why at the same time that they're offering their sacrifices to inaugurate the temple, why do they see it fit at this very same moment to offer these wagons and bulls to carry the tabernacle? Another question is, there's a magnanimous gift over here. Everyone is giving something in honor of the temple. How come they decided to give a half of a wagon? Each leader offers a cost of half a wagon. Why not a whole wagon? And even regarding the oxen that they brought, it wasn't like a complete gift, because in order to draw the wagon, you have to have 2 oxen. So even if you're bringing 1 ox, it's still not considered a full gift. So the question is, why did they give if it's a magnanimous spirit that's inspiring them to give, why they give just a half a gift? The answer to this, based upon the inner dimension of things, is like this. Every Jew has in general 2 different kinds of virtues. There's a virtue that you have because you're Jewish, because we all have one father. And the truth is, more than just having one father, the source of all the souls of Israel is in Hashem Echad, is one. We're all the same source. We all in our source, we're all one. We all come from the same place. Then there is everyone's personal virtues. Different kinds of people, different kinds of roles everyone plays. There's the heads of the tribes, there's the wood choppers, there's the water carriers. Everyone has a unique virtue that no one else has. And the unity of the Jewish people is also enhanced by the personal virtues that every Jew has. Because when you know and you feel that we all need each other, and you can't be complete without the other guy, so then that allows you to unite with another Jew one other Jews, other Jews, because you know that this is how you're going to be complete because we're all considered one body. So there's an advantage in how each of these components contributes to our unity. The fact that we all are one, our source, on the one hand, that's a higher level of unity because that source that we all come from is one. It's not like there's a division and then the components come together. We are one in our source. But the second component, the fact that we need each other, that unity begins by understanding the differences we have with each other. And the result of this meditation still leaves us all separate. I'm me and you're you, and I need you, but there's still a difference between me and you. So the advantage of the first kind of virtue is that to begin with, there's no separation. On the other hand, there's an advantage in highlighting the differences that we have and the fact that we need each other, because the unity that we have because we're all one is not, and that our divine source, in that level, you don't see how each individual Jew is united with another Jew. You're looking at the Jew from a rose lens, if you will, looking at him in a transcendent, distant way, the way the Jew is in a source. You don't see that even the way a Jew is in this world, with his unique characteristics, how we also are united at that level. So the advantage of the second kind the advantage by highlighting the virtues of each person and uniting together because we all need each other, the advantage of that is that it's something which carries our individuality and still emphasizes how we all need each other and we're all one. Even as we are separated, we're still united. That's the advantage of the second kind of approach to Jewish unity. The fact that we all need each other, the fact that everyone has their own virtue, that emphasizes even as we're different, we need each other. Even as we are unique, we're all one. The goal is, the highest level is, that there should be a fusion of these two kinds of virtues. That even as a Jew recognizes the unique virtue that he has, he should also feel, not only does he need another Jew who, because he doesn't have the virtue that other Jew has, but he should also feel more than, not just I need you, Chaim Peretz, to remind me not to eat cookies in the morning. A higher level than that is, I should need you because we're one. We're absolutely one. So there should be a fusion of both virtues. I should recognize, at the same time, recognize your unique contribution to me, and that's why I need you. Besides that, I have to also simultaneously feel that we're one. And the explanation of this is like this. The Alter Rebbe explains that by the Jewish people, we all need each other. No one has perfection without the other. So the Alter Rebbe says that this fact we all need each other, the consequence of this meditation, we all need each other, is that there's no beginning and there's no end. The Alter Rebbe compares this to a circle. We can't find the beginning or end of the circle. So that's the meaning of Jewish unity. There's no beginning and no end. But it doesn't make sense. The fact that we all need each other, even someone who is, so to speak, considered a foot soul, a lower level of soul, he has an advantage that the head soul doesn't have. Just like in a human body, the feet carry the head to where the head wants to go. That only explains by saying that there's some Jews which are considered like feet and they still have an advantage over other Jews. That only explains how every Jew is considered a head in their gift. But it doesn't do what the Alter Rebbe says it does. It seems that there is no beginning and no end. In other words, the Alter Rebbe says that each of us has a virtue. So the result of that meditation is that you're ahead and I'm ahead. Even your way, you're ahead, and I'm my way, I'm ahead. But it's not that there's no beginning, no end. So what does Alter Rebbe mean when he says there's no beginning, no end? So Alter Rebbe is alluding to something higher that connects both different kinds of unity. The reason why every Jew has unique virtues, the reason why everyone has something particular, bring to the table, it's not because of anything other than the essence of the neshama. My unique virtues that I have stem from the essence of my soul. The essence of my soul contains within it all of my persona, my character, the good parts. So that's the reason why each individual soul power is able to unite with other soul powers. This is because it all originates from the essence of the soul. So since the source and root of every soul power is in the essence of the soul, that means that by default, that every soul power has in it the essence. Because each soul power stems from the essence of the soul, so that means that each soul power has in it all other soul powers. So similarly, regarding the Jewish people, all the individual virtues that each Jew has that creates the sum total, thank you very much, of the Jewish people, the fact that each person has a unique virtue, the reason why this is true is because all the Jewish people are actually one entity because of the source of their souls. The source of our souls, which is one, which is not fragmented into many pieces, many different kinds of virtues. That source is the source of all individual virtues as well. The fact that, for example, Jews are kind, Jews are merciful. Everyone has their way of expressing that. Everyone has their unique gift. It's not starting with kindness and mercy. It starts in the essence of the neshama. The essence of the neshama emerges in the mercy and the kindness of each individual Jew, in the gifts of each individual Jew. And so because, just like in a human being, the intelligence of a person, the character of the person stems from the essence of the soul, which all comes from. The essence of the soul contains within it the potential for all the soul powers. So therefore, there's a unity of all soul powers with each other because each soul power stems from the same essence and has the essence in it. So to the Jewish people, the individual virtues that you find in the Jewish people, they originate from the very core of the neshama. And therefore, when I'm looking at one specific Jew, that he has a unique virtue, that virtue that he has contains within it all the virtues of all the Jewish people. I'm not looking, in other words, at Yankel's virtue, or I'm not looking at Rabbi Yisrael's virtue. When I see Rabbi Yisrael pick up a siddur from the floor, he's so carefully, as Dir Shamayim doesn't want to see the siddur on the floor. I'm not looking at Rabbi Yisrael's virtue. I'm looking at Klal Yisrael. I'm looking at the virtue of the Jewish people. So that's why the Alter Rebbe says that even when you're looking at the individual virtues of the Jewish people, Alter Rebbe says what you're looking at is a circle. You cannot find the beginning, you cannot find the end. Because all the Jewish people have all the virtues. Every Jew has all the virtues because the differences between one Jew and another is only regarding Helm and Gili. It's only regarding what's revealed. By one Jew, his virtue is expressed in his fear of Hashem. Another Jew, his virtue is expressed in his Torah study. So that's how he shines. But in that virtue as well, that originates and stems from the essence of the soul. And therefore, in that virtue, you could draw a line from that virtue to another Jew's virtue because it all comes from their Jewishness. It all comes from their essence. All other virtues of all the Jewish people are in that Jew's virtue of his Yirah Shamayim, his fear of heaven. In that virtue, you also see the full spectrum of all of the beauty of all the Jewish people. It's similar to the halacha. Halacha is if you're involved in one mitzvah, you're exempt from doing all other mitzvahs. Why are you exempt? It's because each mitzvah has within it all the mitzvahs. So although it seems I'm only connected to one mitzvah right now, but in that mitzvah, the essence of this mitzvah is the same essence as all the mitzvahs. And therefore, while I'm doing this specific mitzvah, it's like I'm doing all the mitzvahs because this mitzvah contains within it all the mitzvahs together. So a similar thing is also with the offering of the leaders of the Jewish people for the inauguration of Yom. In order for the inauguration to be perfect, it had to unite within it two opposite things. On the one hand, every leader had to bring their own sacrifice or their own intent. And therefore, everyone brought the sacrifice on a different day. Every day, as we learned earlier, had to have Reuven sacrifice, Shimon sacrifice. They all have a unique gift to give on a different day. On the other hand, in the offering of each individual leader for their tribe, they had to be highlighted at the same time that even from the perspective of the leader of Yehuda, he has to feel that he is one entity with all the leaders in all the tribes. And that's why the Medrash says it's considered as if they all brought it on day 1 and considered as if they all brought all the sacrifices on day 12. Because the sacrifices contained of each day contained within that sacrifice that was brought on one specific day, and within that there is all the Jewish people sacrifices, all of the full spectrum of all the Jewish people. And that's the reason why all the leaders brought the same sacrifices. In other words, they all brought the same sacrifices because there's something in each individual's sacrifice that expressed all the Jewish people. And therefore, they brought the same thing. There's still a difference in each sacrifice and the other, as we learned earlier. Each one a different intent to bring the same items. So openly, if you went to enter the mind of Nachshon or Nadav, he's thinking something else when he brought his sacrifice. He had a whole different reason why he brought exactly the same gifts. But that's only what's open in his consciousness and revealed. But if it would go even deeper than that, what's hidden behind that is Klal Yisrael, all the Jewish people. And that's why it comes out the same. In a way, it's both what's Begolia and what's Behelim. It's deep within Nachshon Nadav is his Jewishness, not just his unique role as the leader of the tribe of Yehuda, and overtly they're all bringing the same thing. So you see this unity in both ends. So this will also explain the reason for the offering of the wagons. At the same time they inaugurated the temple, the altar, they also brought wagons. Why at this time? Why did everyone bring a half the gift, a half a wagon, and one bull? We need to have one ox, to have 2. In order to create a full unity, to the extent that you cannot find a beginning or an end, that's true unity. You can't see where one begins, one ends. And at the very same time, to have each individual doing their specific thing that they're gifted with, that they're connected with. All of the leaders brought something before they brought their sacrifices for the altar, which had to contain these both components, Klal Yisrael and Reb Yisrael, all the Jewish people, and their unique virtue. In order to offer that kind of gift, which contains these 2 kinds of virtues, the generic one and the individual one. In order to do this, before they did that, they had to give another gift to precede this one, in which in this gift it's highlighted how we're all one and there's no division, and that allows later to reach the unity by each of our individual virtues. Before we get there, to start off with understanding the oneness of the Jewish people. So in the original gift of the wagons and the bulls, we see in there something beyond division, which allows us to later, even when we're going into high res, looking at each individual Jew, we're also able to appreciate the unity of the Jewish people. That's the meaning of why they brought before bringing the sacrifices, they all brought the wagons and the bulls. What does that mean? Each leader brought a half a wagon, and even the ox that they brought could only be used together with the ox of someone else. That expresses that every leader of each tribe can only accomplish something when he has another leader with him. And therefore, all of the leaders brought their wagons together in one general donation. And also when Moshe accepted it, it was not, you couldn't see a difference between one gift and the other. It was a gift of all of the leaders together. This was, again, to emphasize how we're beyond, there's no separation between us and there's no differences between one Jew and another. In this gift, before going into the unique qualities of the Jewish people, how that also contributes to our unity, before we get there, we have to first highlight the general theme, how we see how there's something in us that's beyond division. That you see that in their gift of these wagons, where one wagon cannot, no one's giving a whole wagon, no one's giving enough to carry the wagon, everyone's giving one bull, everyone's giving half a wagon, and they all can bring it together. You don't even know who brought which wagon. after highlighting the oneness of Jewish people, which is beyond division, only later can we have the inauguration of the altar, where each leader brings his own sacrifices separately. And in his unique gift, he's also bringing the gift of all the Jewish people. So just like there are three layers of each individual Jew, each Jew is one with all the Jewish people without division. Number two, there's another layer of my unique virtue. And then there is the unity between my essence and my individuality. I have three components: my essence, which is one with all the Jewish people, my unique virtues, and then there is the bridge, the fusion between these two components. Similarly, there are three items as well in the tabernacle. There's these three same components. On the one hand, there's the general holiness of the tabernacle, which encompasses all of the tabernacle. It's all part of the same tabernacle equally. Then there is unique holiness of the courtyard, of the Holy of Holies. And then there is the bridge that connects these two kinds of holiness together. And through this connection, there is a higher level of holiness than just the holiness of each individual thing. So now we can understand why the Medrash explains about the sacrifices of the tribe of Shimon. The Medrash says that the Medrash is discussing the reason for why he chose his gift. The Medrash explains that the bowl he brought corresponds to the courtyard of the tabernacle, which surrounded the whole tabernacle. And it weighed 130 shekel, because the Mishkan, the size of the Mishkan was, the length was 130, including the courtyard was 100 and the Mishkan itself was 30. And the Midrash goes on to describe how each thing corresponds to the tabernacle. So it doesn't make sense. If you were to measure the length of the Mishkan is not set. The Mishkan is inside the courtyard. So you don't have 130 amas. You only have 100 amas of the courtyard, and within that, there's 30 amas with the Mishkan is inside that courtyard. So how does the Medrash get to 130? And number two, if he is offering, the Medrash goes on to say he offered another sacrifice, another part of a sacrifice, which corresponds only to the courtyard and not to the tabernacle. 1 second. If he already offered something which has 130, which includes everything, why does he have to offer something which only corresponds to the courtyard without the tabernacle, which is only 100 and not 30? Number three, there's an opinion that during that time, let's skip the third question and go to the conclusion. So why, according to what we learned earlier, we could explain that there are the reasons why there are three ways of measuring the courtyard. The third part was there's a way to measure the courtyard as 70, there's a way to measure the courtyard as 100, and there's a way to measure the courtyard as 130. That's what the Medrash says. 130, that's the courtyard and the tabernacle within it. And we're counting the tabernacle as adding to the courtyard. Then there is counting the courtyard minus the tabernacle, 70. And then you just count the courtyard, just actually measure the courtyard, you're going to get 100. So why are there three different ways the Medrash measures the courtyard? And just like this. These three measurements correspond to three different kinds of holiness in the tabernacle. We're talking about the general holiness of the tabernacle. So we count the length of the courtyard as 100 amma. The 100 amma, which includes within it the tabernacle. The tabernacle is just within the courtyard. We want to emphasize the unique holiness of each part of the tabernacle. We count the courtyard without the tabernacle, looking at the courtyard by itself. And there is the unity of both kinds of holiness in the number 130. We have the 100, where we're not looking at the 30 amos of the tabernacle by itself. We're looking at it as part of the 100. And then we have another 30, where we're looking at the tabernacle as a separate entity. That's why you have the number 130. You have a fusion of the 100 and the 30, a fusion of the general holiness, the 100 amos, and the 30, the individual personal holiness. And therefore, when the tribe of Shimon offered the sacrifices, which is connected to the 3 layers within each Jew, as we learned earlier, so Shimon made sure that his sacrifices correspond to the tabernacle in a way that expressed these very three same items in the tabernacle. This explanation also for the 2 opinions, whether we count the 70 amos okay. Another way of counting the 70 is that the Mishkan was 100 amos long and 50 amos wide. So if you subtract the if you divide the 50, if you want to make the Mishkan square instead of being rectangle, so then and to make it the 150 amos, 100 long, 50 wide, you're going to get to make it square. It's going to be 70 by 70. So that's one reason why Shimon incorporated something which weighed 70 amos. One opinion is because he wanted to count the courtyard minus the tabernacle. Another opinion is he wanted to count what would have been the measurement of the tabernacle had it been square. So according to the first opinion, where we're counting the courtyard minus the tabernacle, he is emphasizing the virtue of the individual, and therefore we're not paying attention to the general holiness. Rather, that the general holiness is alluded to by the gifts of the wagons. According to the second opinion, where there's an emphasis on the general holiness and the unique. What's unique about the inauguration of the tabernacle is how all the individual components, in those individual components, you see the general holiness there as well. So according to this opinion, we're not looking at at the specific holiness in each thing, and therefore he holds that the 70 amos is connected to the general size of the courtyard without this is the conclusion of the Sikha, but it's very deep. I'll learn it again.